Hey everybody, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books, mostly series books. I like to read about the character progression from book to book to book. I'm a series person. This is a little different. We have finished our Johnny Benovich. I hope you enjoyed all those, and we've got a year to wait for the next one. Tomorrow, you should be seeing this one. Secrets in Death, we'll be doing this one. We got to finish up our J.D. Robb. The new one comes out the end of the month. But right now, we're going back old school. Oh, don't forget Star Trek Fridays, Next Generation. And I'm considering starting Flashback Mondays now that I have my bookcase back, although nobody's watching them. But we were talking about books that I currently own, that I owned in 2008, that I was reading in 2008. So we'll be doing that. So this is our second book for the year. And we have read all. This is the sixth book. Please check back in my videos for the earlier books. They are City of Lies, City of Secrets, City of Scandals, City of Shames, City of Shadow, City of Fortune, City of Betrayal. And where's my little thing? I got my sticker. I voted. All right, not now, but in November, we will all vote. But it's about this. And usually, this is a very character-driven series. And you are going to see this next week. Victoria Thompson, Murder on Astor Place, and we will go through all of these. We will definitely, absolutely go through all these. But right now, we are doing her Counterfeit series, and it's Victoria Thompson's City of Betrayal. Now, unlike the other books in this series that were character-driven, and we have Elizabeth Bates, her husband Gideon, his mother, Mother Bates. They have her father, the old man, that's what they call him, Jake, and then Anna and Freddy, friends of theirs. And they usually are running a little cons. They're like, somebody got cheated and they're trying to fix something wrong and make it right again. Somebody was, scam, and they try and scam the scammer. That's usually how these books go. This is different. This is based on a true event. And if you read you join me for the Patriot, Steve Berry's Patriot book, you know how much I enjoyed that because it was based on historical facts. This is based on the woman's right to vote in 1920 in Tennessee. And I was talking to a few people this morning, people of color, and they liked my views. So I want to know if you like my views too. When they wrote, "We the people," you know in your soul they meant we, us white men. You know that's what they meant. Now, if we could go back in time and tell them to write, "We the men and women and all races." But see, while the North, not as of yet, but give it another 50 years, but not as of yet, but in another 50 years, and the potato famine, and all this stuff that goes on in Europe, we're going to get German immigrants, we're going to get Italian immigrants, we're going to get Irish immigrants, and the North, especially New York, is going to become the melting pot. And it's going to become, sweatshops and labor shops and child labor laws, the whole 9 yards. Whereas the South was mostly farming. I mean, there was other stuff going on too, but it was mostly farming. And that's why some of the bills were written in the way they were written because they wanted the South to support them, support some of these bills. But, and then of course the Civil War, that was the straw that broke the camel's back kind of situation in this country. But, so what I don't understand, and we'll get into it, and I'll probably talk about it the whole length of this book. Why would you not want a say? If you're a woman, I don't understand why these people were anti. I do not understand, but this gentleman, I can't get his name. I'm always forgetting it. But he's a black man, and he's like 6'7", and he was telling me he's a really nice guy. Oh, shoot. He told me his name. It's like I think he's a minister, and it's a weird. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. But we were talking, and then this other lady was talking to me too. She had been a police officer in Florida in some of the darker areas, and we were talking about how racism is taught. Your parents teach you how to view the world around you. You get your first ideas and your first impressions from your parents. And the man said that because the women were brainwashed into believing that they were supposed to be housewives and barefoot and pregnant and support their husbands in all things, that their husband was a superior person, that their only duty in life was to serve the husband and produce children. Whereas nowadays, a woman would like a career and an education and all that stuff. And I guess for whatever reason, these ladies did not feel this way back in the 1920s. But why would you not want to say? Let's just say, for example, your husband told you to wear red today, and you had to wear red. You did not have a choice. You had to wear red that day, and you had to make this meal, and you had to go to this place, and you had to say these things, that you had no free will. Would you not like the choice to wear blue, to cook your own meal, to go where you want to go, to read what book you want to read? Would you not have liked that choice? So why would you have not liked the choice to vote? To put your ballot down for who you would like to vote for, or what legislation you are in support of for. Why would you not want to say? I do not understand why you would not want to say or have a say. I just don't get it. So we will get to this in a second. But like I said, this is usually a character driven. I like reading. You see my Laurel up there. That's all my Laurel. Those are all series. Every last one of them. They're all series books. I need to do a series podcast. I'll do a series one. And this is 6 books, and this is like over 20. We will do all of these. But and I love the fact that her books are historical, that she's got some accuracy in them. And this book, unlike the previous 6, which you have Elizabeth and her husband Gideon, and Mother Bates, and Jake, her brother, and the old man, her father, and then Frederica and Anna. So you have your core group, and there's some other people, and they usually try and right or wrong. But this is different. They're not running any schemes or cons. This book, this is different. They spend about 3 weeks, or it ends up being 3 weeks. It was supposed to be 1, but it ended up spending 3 weeks in Tennessee. Yes, ma'am. So I did that already. So Elizabeth and her mother-in-law have been involved with the women's suffrage movement from the beginning of the series. That's how they met. They met in prison, and she's really proud of the fact that she spent some time in prison because she was protesting. She wanted the right to vote, and I don't understand why you would not want the right to vote. And so this is like 1920, and I had to share this one little humorous note. It's not that it's funny, it's just that compared to today, the difference. She says, how can they get the legislature together so quickly? Anna asked, handing the telegram back to Elizabeth. Telegrams and trains, I suppose. Modern conveniences have made the world a smaller place. Besides, they're all the same in the same state. It's not like they need to take a sleeper halfway across the country to get there like we do. Telegrams and trains. Yeah. Have you tried the internet or the computer where stuff goes in seconds? You can get your news in seconds. You can post videos. Well, mine it takes 6 hours. Unfortunately, you can have the fastest internet in the world. If you have a dinosaur from a computer or a computer that walks like a turtle, that's as fast as your videos are going to go up there. And all this nonsense about having people subscribe and like your videos in one day or a week. It's been a year. It's officially a year. You don't see it here, do you? Not at all. But I like history, and I like reading stories about history. I'm a genealogist. I had a website, and if my publishing deal goes through, I might put it back up. It was 500-600 pages of genealogical information, and I had to let it go. And I called them the other day, and I said, is my website still out there in the stratosphere? And he's like, yeah. Would you like to renew it? $400 a year? I'm like, no, not yet. Not yet. I gotta buy food first. I gotta buy books first. But it was hot in its day. It was really, really hot in its day. I was getting 10, 20, 30,000 hits a day, really, seriously. But then this little thing called Ancestry came along, and Family Search came along, and y'all gone. No one's visited my site in 20 years. But anyway, we digress. So they get on a train and they go to Tennessee. And most of it is historical from that point on. Except her old man is running a con, but we really don't get into it all that much. But there is some good history in here. And I don't even know if I should really. I'm going to skip that one part because it's really not relevant to the story. I mean, it's relevant to what they're doing. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about. They have this woman, and I'm trying to. I guess it happened after. Because I tried doing research and I couldn't find when it happened. So it had to happen in Elizabeth stopped by her suite to let Gideon and his mother know that she was what she was doing and to change into a dry dress. Then she found Sue's room. Betty was already there along with Catherine and Anita and a few others she had met. Miss Sue introduced her to someone she had not met, Miss Charles Williams, who was the first female superintendent of schools in Nashville and who had recently been appointed vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. I want to know, and I've been trying to research it, and I haven't gotten very far, because maybe I'm not doing the right terms. But I want to know how she got to be vice chair of the Democratic National Committee before women got the right to vote. That I don't understand. So I'm trying to figure that one out. But she's a big deal. So, the whole thing is all the stuff that took place, and a lot of it is historical fact. Man, she can't tell time again. She's stuck at 9:30. Last year she was stuck at 10. I put a battery in. She sort of kind of worked for one day. But I don't know why. Oh, they need these votes. And you hear about this all the time. They need a certain number of votes for a bill to pass. And you ever watch the Senate hearings or anything like that and see, you want to know, really, do these people even care about us up there in the Senate? Do they really care? Because I don't think they care. They don't care a hill of beans about us down here. They're all worried about their own little pockets and policies. And a lot of them say, why are you supporting XYZ? Well, he or she is good for my wallet. You know, they all have their own pet policies. Or they're all worried about impeaching this one or impeaching that one or firing this one or firing that one. Could you worry about the little people? Lower gas prices or lower taxes or free health insurance or something that would really matters instead of all your own little causes. I mean, you know, as soon as Walker pounded his gravel and all the preliminaries were over, House Majority Leader William Bond stood up and was recognized. He presented House Joint Resolution Number 4 and proceeded to read it. The first several clauses were a history lesson, reminding everyone of all the ways the federal government had forced the South to conform after the wars between the states. This is why the Tennessee Constitution contained the provision of holding an election before voting to ratify an amendment to the federal Constitution. Although the Supreme Court had ruled they didn't need an election before they voted, Bond's resolution insisted that they still needed to know the will of the people. Well, doesn't that include the will of the female too? But a lot of this, she tries to slowly insinuate a gentleman, a very important gentleman. So there's a very important gentleman, and we'll talk about him in a second. But he doesn't really make. I have notes for him previously, but I wanted to just. We'll wait and mention him later. I just wanted to share some other stuff. Senator Todd recognized Senator Gwynn, who gave the committee's report to the full Senate. It was surprisingly eloquent. The committee is of the opinion that the present legislature has both a legal and moral right to ratify the proposed resolution. Gwynn began and then listed the legal arguments in favor of ratification. National women's suffrage by federal amendment is at hand, he concluded. It may be delayed, but it cannot be defeated, and we covet for Tennessee the signal honor of being the 36th and the last state necessary to consummate this great reform. Fully persuaded of its justice and confident of its passage, we earnestly recommend the adoption of this resolution. And then to everyone's surprise, Governor Roberts entered the chamber and walked slowly up to the front, where he sat down beside Todd. He's letting everyone know he's keeping score of how they all voted. But the vote couldn't happen right away, not until the senators had an opportunity to explain themselves. 3 hours of speeches followed, some for and some against, but all impassioned. Many of them referred to the legal arguments or urged party unity, but almost all of them condemned or even ridiculed Herschel's Chandler's outrageous remarks. In all my life, I never heard a sound argument against giving women the right to vote. A woman is a human being and entitled and so is entitled to vote in making of law affecting her and her children. Yes. Yes. And there's my impassioned speech for chapter 7. Then they started blackmailing each other and all these little, I'm going to tell the papers that you got paid to vote this way, and all these different conspiracy theories. I have all these notes here. But I wanted to get, some of this is true. And I wanted to get to this part here. This gentleman, Henry Burns, he's featured prominently in the book because it's all true. On a hot and muggy summer morning in the month of August 1920, a young 24-year-old Republican lawmaker from Michigan County in the Southern Valley of Tennessee changed his nay vote to an aye vote during a critical final ballot to decide the fate on ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. Burns' momentous decision to vote in favor of women's suffrage not only secured the elusive victory that suffragists had sought since Seneca Falls Convention of 1848, but also secured a place for both Burns and his widowed mother, Feb Eminger Burns, in American history as they delivered Tennessee as the perfect 36th state to ratify the 19th Amendment. On Friday, August 19th, the Tennessee House deliberated a joint resolution for ratification of the 19th Amendment that had recently passed in the state Senate. Several legislators rose from their desks to deliver impassioned speeches that were merely recounted the age-old arguments waged by suffs and aunts for and against women's suffrage after lengthy debate. However, Speaker Seth Walker, a proclaimed anti, boldly claimed, "The hour has come, the battle has been fought and won, and I move the motion to concur in the Senate action goes where it belongs, to the table." The deaf silence blanketed the chamber as motion was put forth on the House floor to table the amendment, tantamount to its death as a bill would be held over until the next legislation session convened after the fall election. In the midst of the excitement, no one could discern the inner turmoil that waged within Harry Burns. Sitting in his chair in the third row to the right of the rostrum, Burns adorned a red rose, the symbol of the Antis, on his jacket lapel. His constituents back home in McKean County were bitterly divided. An ever-increasing majority of public opinion in the county was turning against women's suffrage. Election in the upcoming fall and deciding vote either way might cost him the votes needed to secure his seat in the next section of the General Assembly. Therefore, Burns was content to vote in favor of tabling the amendment. When the House clerk reached his name, the seventh on the list of 96 in attendance, Burns voted with antis to table the amendment. "I had voted to table the amendment," later explained, "not in opposition, but in hopes it would come up again at the next session." The next vote was 48 to 48. Senator Wallace demanded a recount. Again, the vote was deadlocked, 48 to 48. Therefore, the amendment remained alive on the House floor. Speaker Wallace then moved to reconsider the original motion, a vote on the 19th Amendment. Now Burns was faced with a decision he hoped he would not have to confront as the deciding vote on whether or not the 19th Amendment became the law of the land. Unbeknownst to his fellow colleagues, Burns carried a letter from his mother in his breast pocket that admonished him to vote in favor of the amendment. And it's all true. There's his mother, and there's a picture of Burns on the courthouse steps. Thank you, Internet. But, and I always love, I think my favorite part sometimes of Victoria's books, well, we will do the Gaslight series. We will dive into that sucker huge. But she says, I have wanted to write this story ever since I first came up with the idea for the Counterfeit Lady series in 2011. I became interested in the women's suffrage movement when I was researching the early 20th centuries and happened to read Jailed for Freedom by Doris Stevens. This amazing book provided the research for the first book in the series, City of Lies. Later, I read The Woman's Hour by Elaine Weiss, which tells the thrilling story of how Tennessee became the 36th state to ratify the 19th Amendment. This book proved to be a goldmine of information about the momentous event, and I owe Miss Weiss a debt of gratitude. The first question I'm sure you're going to ask is, did all this really happen? The answer is a resounding yes. Almost as far as I know, no one was trying to con the legislators at the Hermitage Hotel. However, although how would we ever know? Also, Elizabeth and her crew aren't really there because I hope this doesn't come to shock anybody. They really don't exist. However, almost everything they did participate in did happen, although to someone else. Yes, Harry Burns' mother did write a letter and did receive it on the Wednesday morning just before the session started, but she mailed it and delivered to him by page after it arrived at Capitol. If you do internet search for Harry Burns' letter, you can see the actual letter and envelope, which are stored in the East Tennessee History Center as part of the McClellan Historical Collection in Knoxville, Tennessee. You will notice that Mrs. Burns asked Harry twice in this letter to vote for suffrage. It's a long, newsy letter, written in pencil on lined tablet paper, and on page 2 she says, "Hurrah and vote for suffrage and don't keep them in doubt." It's a good book. It's a good story. If you're not into history but you like to read about it, this is good. I like Victoria Thompson, and I hope you will enjoy this book. And I hope you will join me in a couple of days for the start of the Gaslight series, because I love this series to death too. We got to finish our JD Rob. So I hope you will hit the like and subscribe, and I hope you will vote in November. So check it out. City of Betrayal, Victoria Thompson. And don't forget, we're going to do, and don't forget Star Trek Fridays and Flashback Mondays and all my other book reviews. She's too cute. Have a good one. Thank you.